Let me start here. How many times have you looked back at your past and thought, dang, I should have known better? And the way you say it, it's not even a thought, it's a sentence, a punishment, a way of telling yourself you were too weak, too blind, too naive, too irresponsible. But what if I told you something that might change the way you carry your story? You didn't know better then. You were doing better than you knew, and that is still enough. Some of you are holding yourself guilty for not being who you are now back then. And baby, that's not honesty. That's impossible standards. So today, day 4, we're talking about the healing truth. Better than you knew is still enough. Let's exhale into that together. Welcome back, my beautiful people. If you're here with me on this 28-day self-forgiveness journey, I just want to say, I see you. I honor you. Because choosing to forgive yourself is not casual work. It's brave work. And today we're in a tender place. Because after we faced the truth, day 1, met our younger self, day 2, and confronted self-punishment, day 3, day 4 is about a kind of compassion many of us don't know how to give ourselves. Compassion for what we didn't know. This episode got inspired by something I hear all the time from clients, from listeners, from women who are good at loving everybody but themselves. They'll say things like, I can't believe I stayed that long. I should have left sooner. I was so stupid. Why did I let that happen? I knew better. And every time I hear it, I want to gently stop them and say, no, you know better now. Back then, you knew what you knew. And you were surviving the best way you could with the tools you had. So today I'm going to walk you into that truth. Not to excuse what hurt you, not to erase responsibility, but to release the unrealistic burden you keep putting on your past self. You're going to leave this episode lighter, more merciful, and more able to honor your growth without shaming your history. Let's go. What does it mean when I say better than you knew is still enough? It means you did not have the knowledge you have now. You did not have the emotional capacity you have now. You did not have the resources, support, safety, or self-worth you have now. So when you look back, you can't judge your past self using your present self eyes because that past version of you was living in a completely different reality. Maybe you grew up in chaos and peace felt suspicious. Maybe you were taught love was sacrifice, so boundaries felt selfish. Maybe you didn't have someone modeling healthy relationships. Maybe your nervous system wasn't built for safety yet. Maybe your self-esteem was still bruised. Maybe you were just trying to make it through the day. Let me say something I need you to hear. Your choices made sense to the version of you who made them, even if those choices hurt you, even if those choices delayed you, even if those choices had consequences. They made sense because they were made through the lens you had. And why does this matter? Because without this truth, forgiveness turns into cruelty. You keep saying, I should have been wiser. I should have been stronger. I should have seen it coming. I should have handled it better. But the real question is, where would you have gotten that wisdom from? If nobody taught you, where would you have gotten that strength from? If you were busy surviving, where would you have gotten that clarity from? If you were drowning in pain? Rhetorical but real. This matters because when you shame your past self, you sabotage your present healing. You can't build a new life while dragging old shame like luggage you refuse to put down. Let me tell you where I learned this the hard way. There was a time I looked back at my old choices and truly despised myself. I hated that woman. I hated what I tolerated. I hated who I allowed close to me. I hated how I kept going back to things that kept breaking me. I hated that I confused attention for love. And I'd sit there thinking, Dagmar, you were grown. You should have known better. But one day, and I'm telling you this was a turning point, I was journaling and something hit me. I wrote, I didn't feel worthy of healthy love, so unhealthy love felt normal. I sat with that like that was the truth behind the truth. Because when I was in those moments, I wasn't choosing from clarity. I was choosing from conditioning, from wounds, from the version of love I was taught. I was choosing from fear of loneliness, fear of not being enough, fear of starting over, fear of being seen, fear of rejection. And I realized I was not stupid. I was scared. I was not weak. I was unhealed. I was not too much. I was unfamiliar with being loved gently. And when I stopped calling her dumb, I started seeing her as brave. Because listen, even if I made messy choices, that version of me was still trying to find her way back home. She was still hoping. She was still surviving. She was still getting up every morning. And I asked myself, what if the woman I used to be was doing the best she could while carrying pain I couldn't see yet? The moment I saw that, I softened, not into excuses, but into understanding. And that understanding unlocked forgiveness because I could finally say, I forgive you for not knowing what you couldn't have known. And baby, that was like opening the windows in a house that had been closed up too long. Fresh air, new life. All right, let's get practical because day 4 is a practice day. We are practicing mercy. Here are your steps. Step 1, identify one moment you still shame yourself for. Just one, not your whole life story. Pick one decision, one season, one relationship, one moment you replay with regret. Write it down. Step 2, name what you knew then. Ask yourself, what did I know at the time? Not what you know now. What you knew then. Be specific. I knew I was tired. I knew I wanted love. I knew I was scared to be alone. I knew I didn't feel safe leaving. I knew I blamed myself for everything. I knew I was trying to keep peace. Write the facts of your reality then. Step 3, name what you didn't know. Ask, what didn't I know yet? Maybe you didn't know that love doesn't require you to shrink, that boundaries are holy, that your nervous system was trauma trained, that you were repeating childhood patterns, that you were worth more than survival love, and that leaving could be safe, that familiar isn't always healthy. Put that on paper too. Step 4, speak to your past self lovingly. Say something like, you were doing better than you knew. You made choices with the tools you had. I'm proud of you for surviving. And I'm here now. You can say it in the mirror. You can say it in the car. You can whisper it in bed. But say it. Because your healing self needs to become a safe place for your past self. Step 5, reframe the story. Instead of, I was stupid for staying. Try, I stayed because I was hoping and I didn't know I deserved better. Now I know. Now I choose differently. That's growth without shame. Let me tell you what happens when you start living by this truth. You heal without hating who you were. You stop treating your past like an enemy. You start seeing it as a classroom. Painful, yes, but still a place you learned. You gain respect for your resilience. Instead of looking back with disgust, you look back with honor. You see how hard you fought to make it. You stop being afraid of your own story because shame makes you hide, but compassion lets you breathe. You create a more peaceful present. When you stop punishing who you were, you stop fearing who you might become. You trust yourself more? Now a pitfall. Some people hear this and think it means, so none of it was my responsibility? No, baby. Compassion does not cancel accountability. It just removes self-hatred from the process. You can say, I did that, and also say, I was doing the best I could then. Both can be true. So today, day 4, we're releasing the unrealistic expectation that your past self should have been your present self. You were not supposed to know what you hadn't learned yet. You were not supposed to be healed while still bleeding. You were not supposed to be wise while still wounded. You were becoming, and you did better than you knew. So if nobody's told you lately, let me be the one. You are still worthy of forgiveness, even for the things you didn't understand at the time. Here's your affirmation. I forgive myself for what I didn't know. I honor myself for what I survived. I celebrate myself for what I've learned. Say it again. I forgive myself for what I didn't know. I honor myself for what I survived. I celebrate myself for what I've learned. Let that settle in your chest. Thank you for being here with me today. This was a soft episode, but softness is not weakness. It's healing strength. If this helped you breathe a little easier about your past, share this episode with someone who keeps blaming themselves for surviving. And make sure you follow the podcast so you don't miss day 5. For more resources, coaching, and tools to help you go deeper, visit me at www.wayofthewiseout.com. I love you. I'm walking with you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, be kind to who you were. She did better than she knew. Talk to you soon. Have a wonderful and blessed day.